This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Larry, the mentor.
an incarcerated individual at San Quentin Rehabilitation Center, San Quentin, California.
I wanted to talk directly to one of my favorite hip hop artists, Lil Durk, sitting off in MDCLA, probably in the same cell I was in when I was there. And I just wanted to share some thoughts with the brother, what I would do if I was in this situation right now. If I was in that situation right now, if I was him, and I had anything at all to do with what they're accusing me of doing, I plead out right now. I plead out. Get rid of the lawyers, liquidate all my assets, the jewelry, the cars, the houses, sell the music catalog. I'll make amends, pay the blood money and give those grieving mothers closure they deserve. Break bread with my co-defendants. Start doing some research. I'd invest with a trusted hedge fund, something like BlackRock. And then I take care of the family. I set things up where money will be on direct deposit quarterly into the accounts of the people that I'm responsible for. My kids, my mama, my father, whoever it is that I'm taking care of. Then I turn the focus inward and dive into this deen of Al-Islam. Study. I pray. Fast during the holy month of Ramadan. Give in charity. I've started thinking about ways to rebrand myself. Possibly get me a master's in international finance or mergers and acquisitions by going to college while I'm in there. I'd release a memoir and then sell the rights to my life story for streaming. And last but not least, walk it down and come on home. That's what I would do right now.
Tell us why you would do that. What are the advantages of him pleading, and why would someone want to plead? For the people out there who don't know.
One thing about the feds, they don't come get you until they got you. And the first deal is the lowest deal. When you plea bargaining out, you hold out on them, they're just going to keep going up. They'll offer you 20, you turn it down, the next time it comes up, it'll be 25. You turn it down, the next time it comes up, it'll be 30. And then finally, they'll get pissed off and it'll just be a straight life sentence, no plea bargain. I've seen enough people in the feds, enough brothers in the feds who were high-powered individuals. Some were business people, some were mobsters, some were street gangsters and hustlers and D-boys. And the one thing they all taught me was that the lawyers and the family will eat your wealth like termites in there. The feds is where rich niggas go to get broke. That's where you lose it all at.
Damn. How is a celebrity, or how are celebrities, to the best of your knowledge? I mean, let's just say someone like a Blueface comes in, or someone like that who gets locked up for whatever, a year and a half. How are they treated behind bars? Are they given special treatment? You know, do Do most of them go PC, mainline? I mean, are they protected more by inmates and guards, less protected? Can you talk to us about what you know about being locked up with celebrities?
I ran into a few in my time. I mean, sometimes it's not even a choice to go into protective custody. Sometimes the institution will force them into protective custody to avoid the lawsuits from them getting attacked or anything that might happen. And then there was others that they walk the line just like everybody else. I mean, you might be able to carry a little favor with guards that know who you are, but as far as people on the yard, they're going to fall in with their homeboys, and you another homie. Difference is that you might have a bigger voice uh, than other people in the car because you control resources, and everybody's looking for resources. But at the end of the day, you still gotta walk it down. You still gotta do that number. And generally, the longer you in there, the longer you locked up, the more that glow will fade. Suddenly, you're not a celebrity anymore. You used to be a celebrity. This can happen. I've seen it.
You were a musician, are a musician. You know, that's something that never leaves us. Were you pursuing music up until the time that you got this long bid?
Yeah and no. It became more of a hobby than anything because I was getting more money in the streets. I wasn't making money off music. I was spending money on music to be in the studio, to go do shows, the whole deal. I wasn't making money at it. So it became more of a hobby than anything.
How do you think it feels? Just, you know, let's put ourselves in someone else's shoes. How do you think it feels for someone as big as a Dirk, one of the biggest rappers in the world? Just before he got locked up, he had a song with Drake, probably the ultimate, goal for most rappers. How do you think it feels for
This
someone?
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Not saying anyone's life is more important than anyone else's or anything, and his is more important than someone who doesn't have millions of dollars and that level of notoriety. But how do you think it feels for someone like that to be spending time in prison?
Oh, it's gonna wake your game up. It's gonna wake your game all the way up because the legal system, it works for wealthy people, but it doesn't always work for wealthy black people, for wealthy Latino people. It doesn't always work out the way that you've seen it work for other people that have the same type of resources. And they're going to humble you. They're going to remind you of where you came from and where they're going to send you to. And so it'll wake your game up.
How important is, obviously money is one of the most important things to keep going in this life, but how important is money when you're going through something that Lil Durk is going through, and how bad is it for someone who's going through the same thing but doesn't have the resources that he has?
Without the resources, you don't stand a chance. None at all. You're done. With the resources, you have a chance. You have a shot. But oftentimes, attorneys will overplay that just to stay on the payroll. And then when you blow trial and you get convicted, they want to stay on the payroll and run your appeal. Appeals can take 5, 10, 15 years. They're going to be around as long as you got money. And so this is how many of the people that I've met that had bread went broke, between the family and the lawyers.
There's someone out here right now, Ali, who is listening, and they're chasing a dream, be it rap, be it basketball, be it whatever. But they're also chasing that easy money in the street. They're also chasing that hustle in the street. And they're hoping one pops off before the other one does. Probably want to go legit, rather. But to that person listening right now, Ali, what advice, what game, what would you like to tell them?
Get out the streets. Get out the game. The worst thing that could possibly happen is that you are able to turn the corner, and then the things you've done in your past come back to bite you in the ass. Now you got to pay the piper. Get out while you ahead. I've ran into quite a few dudes who was in the game, who got out the game, but was still connected to people that was in the game. And then when they all got indicted, you're a co-conspirator. You're just as guilty as them, even though you're not even moving like that no more. And it cost them everything. One in particular that I'm thinking about, he had to walk down 15 for continuing to have communications with his brother, who was his business partner at one time in the game. Even though they fell out, they still kept in contact because they blood brothers. And they had them on conversations, not even talking about work or anything like that. But the fact that one was still in the game and the other wasn't, they became co-conspirators, and he had to take the deal. He's home now, but he had to walk off 15, and he was already out.
I would love to talk to you about a life lesson or a life story, an obstacle that you faced as a teen, as a young man on the streets, and give some advice to the young men out there who may be experiencing the same thing right now that you went through back then.
So one of the things I went through when I was younger, teenage years, early 20s, when I was incarcerated and when I was on the streets, was I didn't have a handle on my emotions. I gave the appearance that I had a handle on it. You never saw me in a compromised position or way, but I didn't have a handle on my emotions. Emotional about unhealed trauma, emotional about my financial situation, emotional about relationship situations. Like, there was a lot going on, and I had zero emotional intelligence. I didn't have an emotional vocabulary to be able to even label it for what it was. And the people around me didn't have the emotional vocabulary or the intelligence to label it and help me work through it. And even if they had, I probably would have rejected it and lied because I was in denial about what I was going through. And so my outlet became criminal activity and violence. That's how I dealt with it when I was really an artist. And I should have been in the studio making records about it, but I didn't want to make records and be vulnerable like that. This is in the pre-Drake.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Where people wasn't making those kind of records, or you wasn't hearing that from no rap artists like that outside of LL Cool J or somebody like that, but not no street dude that's really out in the trenches and moving like a certain kind of way, wasn't making those kind of records. So I had no real outlet for it but to act out. And so now that I'm older and more mature and I've been through therapy and I've dealt with the issues, I'm able to be vulnerable about it. I'm able to put it in my art, and I've been able to create the best art of my life, write the best books of my life, write the best screenplays and teleplays of my life. And now I've come to see that more than any of the fiction that I write, people are more interested and curious about the nonfiction. They want to know my life story about the very things that I was trying to hide and conceal from the rest of the world. They saying that's really what's going to put you on, and that's what's really going to get you financially where you want to be. That's what people want. It was just mind blowing to come to that conclusion. This was just recently, within the last year, when I had a professor tell me in my business class, after reading some things that I wrote and submitted with my business proposal about why I wanted to be in this particular type of business, entertainment, versus the other business proposals that I was developing. When she read that, she said, "This is the story. Your story is what people want." After reading your story, I was moved in a way that I haven't been moved in a while. This is what I want to see. This is what we all want to know and see. It was a revelation.
As artists, most of us, a lot of us, I should say, not everyone, has their favorite piece that they've ever created. Whether you're a rapper out there, you have your favorite song you've ever created. Whether you're a painter out there, you have your favorite painting that you created. What's your favorite piece that you've created so far?
It's a tie between a screenplay I just finished called Uncommon Law. That's the one I won Best Original Screenplay at the 2025 San Quentin Film Festival. Uncommon Law, that script, and one I just completed in March, another script called Palms of Rancho Dominguez. Both of those pieces are out of this world. So I'm going to put Palms of Rancho Dominguez into 2026 San Quentin Film Festival this October. And we're going to try to strike them again, 2 in a row.
Tell us about that. I want to know. Palms of Rancho Dominguez, as in the city of Compton, that's affiliated with Compton, right? Am I correct? Is that the Rancho Dominguez
between
you're talking
Compton,
about?
Long Beach.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because my aunt has owned a home there since 1968, I believe, and it was Compton. Her address was Compton back in the day, and then like in, I don't know, like 92 or 93, somewhere along those lines, I remember her address turning to Rancho Dominguez. But yeah, a lot of people still call it Compton. Right. But yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure it's the right one. Okay, tell us about that one, man.
Well, Palms of Rancho Dominguez, the inspiration for it was the life of Imam Jamil Alameen, who passed away this year up in ADX Florence. Jamil Alameen used to be H-Rap Brown. When I was in the Feds, I met one of his students, a brother that was the leader and founder of the Latin Kings in Miami, who became Muslim under the brother. His name is Hamza now. They used to call him Bamba. And he used to tell me some stories, and I was just really moved by the way that a man that powerful has submitted to Islam under the guidance and instructions of Imam Jamil Alameen. And so when I was looking at the picture in the final call and I read the story, they said that the brother had an appeal going when he passed away. They had a special appeal trying to get him a new trial. And the thought came to my head, what happens if someone in that position, someone picked up the case and continued with the appeal after the person died? What would happen? And so I wrote this script, man, Palms of Rancho Dominguez, about an imam who was a civil rights icon and a rabbi, attorney, who was his best friend. The rabbi's son, who is a U.S. congressman, disappears. He goes missing. The government leads the rabbi to believe that The imam was responsible for his son's disappearance. And the rabbi set him up, and he ends up in ADX, where he dies. Two powerhouse civil attorneys from LA join the fight. They pick up the case. They take it all the way to the United States Supreme Court. They win. The imam gets a retrial. But the only reason they won was because the rabbi came back around and he helped them at the Supreme Court by telling them the truth about where he crossed the line with a person who believed that he was representing him, the imam. And so as we go through the retrial, we recreate what happened, how it happened. And before the end, we come to find out that the congressman, the rabbi's son, is not dead. He reappears after 30 years in occultation with this group from Costa Rica called the Brotherhood of the Holy Martyrs, who are in LA doing an anti-AI march. And he sees his face on TV screens as the trial is playing out, and he sees his mother and his father and his sister and all of these people. He sees the imam, who was like his uncle. And his memory comes back to him. And he walks into the attorney's office and he recounts the tale about how he went missing and why he went missing. And the trial ends in a deadlock. But now that he is back, the president issues a pardon to the imam.
Okay. My man in there working, huh? Doing your thing.
So the reason I call it Palms of Rancho Dominguez is because if you've ever seen a twin palm tree, it has one root, but you get two palm trees out of it, and they go in different directions sometimes. And that's symbolic of the friendship between the imam and the rabbi. They were like twin palms. And the Rancho Dominguez part just comes from, in the early 1800s, a large portion of Los Angeles was considered a ranch called Dominguez.
Yep.
Right? And so the tag scene at the very end of the script is an old Mexican farmer and his kid, and they're looking out at the dusty plains of California, which was Rancho Dominguez or Dominguez. And the kid asks him, why are you planting these type of seeds? Why not something we know? And he says in Spanish to him, no, it's a palm tree. And he demonstrates that the palm tree strength is not in its height, but in its flexibility. And the people of this city will learn something from these trees.
Ooh. That's deep.
So I'm going to strike them.
Yeah.
We're going to get them this time.
Really happy to hear you doing your thing.
Two in a row. We're going to try to. Yeah, man. I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of Walter Mosley, man, and John Singleton. Walter Mosley, the writer, he went to the same elementary school I went to. When I found that out, I was blown away. He went to Victory Baptist Day School right there in South Central on 49th and McKinley. And he's one of my favorite authors. I love his books. And, of course, John Singleton, the only person that I'm aware of that won the Jack Nicholson Award at USC Film School twice during his time there. So I'm trying to win twice at the San Quentin Film Festival before I get up out of here and move on to Sundance. I want to be like my literary heroes from South Central and be added to that list of titans that came from where we come from.
Keep putting it in the air, man.
Yeah, no more corny stuff, man. No more about this killing and dope dealing and all of the stuff that's wrong with our society. I want to make people laugh. I want to make people cry. I want to make people feel something. What I don't want them to feel is hatred for themselves or anyone else. And that's what I mean by being vulnerable in my work And that's the lesson for the artists out there. And even if you're not an artist, if you're an athlete or if you're just a school.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have 60 seconds remaining.
Be open and be real and give it all you got and leave it all on the page.
Thank you for tuning in to Dusty Vision TV. Please hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now.
And I'm speaking to those who are like how I used to think and worse. Because my whole aim and purpose is to get to you. Those who are how I thought and worse. Bro, we up in here together. No matter your enemies is up in here together, we chilling, we eating together, brother. Nobody's mad at nobody. Do not believe what they're saying on the internet. Do not believe what your homies is calling home and saying, because that's a lie. I'm telling you this from a personal experience. I've been here 21 years on this line, and I'm cool with rolling 60s. I'm cool with East Coasters. I'm cool with everybody who I thought was my enemy. Even the people that I heard names and those who have once heard my name. But I'm telling you, this is not no life for us, brothers and sisters. Do not come to this death hole. Leave that death culture alone. Be there for your families who really care about you. For your children. For your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, and your uncles. How can we say we love our mothers and our sisters and our uncles and our brothers and our children when we doing things to let other people take care of them? How could you protect your family and you up in here? So I say, do not follow my footsteps. For those that know me or know of me, do not follow my footsteps, brothers and sisters. You know, one of the biggest things I regret in life is being a bad influence. Because now that I understand that cause and effect, that's what hurts me the most. Why? 5 years ago, a young brother came to me, Dusty, and was like, "Man, Buster, man, when I used to see you walk down the street," and he told me my whole wardrobe, and I remember that. He told me what I did from left to right. And as this young brother is telling me this, it's really hurting my heart. Because in my mind, in his mind, he's thinking that he's telling me something to get some points for. That he mimicked me. This is everything that I did that he saw me do, he did. I don't even know this dude. I just met him in prison. Actually, when I was on the street, he was 9 years old. I left the streets at 19. I didn't even know a 9-year-old was watching me. This 9-year-old, right, is now 31, 32, or 29, 30, or something around there. And look at the cause and effect that I have on this person's life. You're watching me, so you're imitating me. So not only did I cause stress in your life, I caused stress in his mother's life, and his sister's life, and his auntie's life, and his grandma's life, and whoever he may have done something to. This got him wanting to be like me, and I didn't even know him. So I tell people, I say, the influencers, watch what you're doing, because you're always being watched. And just because you may not have done it, or not have told somebody to do it, but somebody's looking at you, trying to be just like you, imitating everything just like you. So you got to watch the influence that you are. So the biggest thing I regret in life was being a negative influence. Because I don't know how many people I had influenced to be negative. You know what I mean? And I caused pain and agony on his mother. You know what I'm saying? And his sister. Now the mother doesn't have a husband, or the child doesn't have a father to talk to, because he's in jail, mimicking what I've done. And I don't even know this guy. So my job now is not in no halls, no centers. My job is in the community. My job is to go to the streets and to spend the rest of my days as I'm living on this planet Earth to be able to build the community that I helped destroy. So now my obligation is to travel all across the world and beyond to be able to help all oppressed people who was just like me. All those who felt one way. So, I thank you, Dusty, because as I've been working on myself, as I've been grooming myself, because I wanted, for years, I said, how can I help the community out right now, even though I'm incarcerated? I said, what can I do in prison that can help somebody else out there that needs help? I didn't know, Dusty. I didn't know. So what I started doing, I started working on myself. Why? Because once I am physically free to travel across the planet Earth to be able to help all oppressed people across this planet, I can have the tools to be effective when I get out. So even though I might not be able to travel across the world as of right now, I'm building myself with education. I'm continuously in self-help programs. I'm in college now. I'm circling myself with people with like minds. So therefore I can stay in that magnetic field of positive energy. Why? Because once you're in that field of positive energy, you know what I'm saying, you will stay in that wave and you keep your full armor of God on. So nothing else can penetrate it. So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I urge you, I impel you to do for self. That negative lifestyle, that destructive, that death culture that we was once involved in, that death culture that we was once involved in, is not a culture at all. I don't want to sound like the typical, it's going to leave you a death in jail, because it will. Because look at me, 62 LY, but they don't have life to give me. You know. But I say this to you brothers and sisters out there. If you don't know what your aim and your purpose is, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, study yourself. If you read every book, go back and study yourself. So that's what I'll say, man. Thank you, Dustin.
Said, you must be Big Rob, and you got to be Animal. I was like, yeah, man, that's us, man. And so he went over about how this guy named Shug was running up in his record company, man, taking the phones off the hook, shutting the business down. The girls can't answer the phones, no incoming calls or outgoing calls. And I need this to stop. And I was like, well, shit, man, you know, let the motherfucker come up in here when we up in here, man. We'll stop him, you know, like that. And then Mike Klein showed up with Big MD that had us come down there, man. You know, so then we met Mike Klein, and he was like, you know, head of the security and shit for Rufus and stuff, man, you know, telling us what to do and stuff, you know, like I was checking him out and stuff, like, man, this guy don't look like he's too much of nothing, man. But boy, was I wrong. You know, he's like, this Mike Klein can box, he can fight, he can you know how, like, a motherfucker shoot a target, you know, they go like, bang, 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 you know, and they're like, hit the bullseye. Mike Klein go, bang, 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 bullseye every time. Bang, 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 bang. I was like, damn, this fool can shoot too, man, you know. And like, he was like unorthodox kind of guy you just couldn't want to fuck with. He always smiling. That's what was scary about him, man. He was always smiling, but he was very serious, man. And then you can start putting it down, man. Like, if they come up in here, man, don't let them do nothing, but just get them up out of here and stuff, man. And we was like, okay, no problem, man. And then we started working there at Rufus. A couple of days go by, nothing happened and stuff, man. Then that day happened. She came up in that motherfucker with 5 or 6 suits and started taking the phone off the hook, talking about I want to see Jerry Heller and where's Easy and all that kind of shit. So it's time to go, man. The adrenaline done rose up now and shit. It's time to get busy. So me, Big Rob, MD, we went out there on him and shit, man, and like, what's up, man? What you want? He was like shocked to see us, man. But he wasn't afraid, though. I could look at him and tell he was a nigga that wasn't afraid of nobody. But we wasn't afraid of no motherfucking body either. You know what I'm saying? So we was like, you can't be coming up in here no more unless you have an appointment. You can't be up in here no more. And this shit gonna stop today. And Then Jerry Heller, he said he wanted to see Jerry Heller, but you don't got an appointment. And then Jerry Heller came out and told him, don't ever come back to my office unless you have an appointment. Don't worry, because you will never get an appointment. Come up in here, man. And so we kind of like shuffled them out the office, you know, and nobody would swing on it. We waiting on somebody to swing, but we could get busy, man. But nobody would swing, man. So we like just shuffled them on out of there and stuff, man. And we walked them to the front door and then out to the other door of the building and stuff. And watched them get in their cars and pull off.
Yeah, Suge and his boys said, we don't want none of that smoke. I mean, look at the size of Eazy-E's bodyguards. I don't think I'd want to mess with those dudes either. But what do you guys think? Sounds like Suge Knight finally met his match. Because up until this time, Suge Knight was a menace to the music business. Everyone was afraid of Suge Knight. He came with the force. He did a lot of good things, according to a lot of people. But he also did a lot of things that terrorized the music industry. And a lot of people felt good that Suge had finally met someone that's going to stand up to him and say, yeah, you're not coming in here and doing this. Now, of course, this is one man's point of view of the situation. I'm sure if we asked Suge Knight, he'd have a totally different perspective on what happened. Everyone has their truth. But just hearing Animal's story, I gotta say it's credible. I gotta give it credibility. But what do you guys think, man? Suge Knight, what an interesting person. Someone who came in the industry as a bodyguard, ironically, right? Wasn't he bodyguarding, doing security for people like Bobby Brown? I think he even did some security for the DOC, right? Wasn't he DOC security? And then now he's this big mogul worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So could you imagine what type of power that brings someone, especially someone like Suge Knight, who himself, big in stature and never willing to back down. But it sounds like this story, according to Animal, Suge and his boys did not want the smoke. Because up until then, they were coming into the office, taking phones off hooks, doing whatever they wanted to do. We want to see Jerry right now. We're demanding to have a sit-down conversation with Jerry right now. So Ruthless, Jerry, Easy, they're like, man, something needs to be done. And it was. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Do you like the interview so far? The full interview can be seen in the description. I'll put the link down in the description so you could check out the full interview that me and my homeboy Alonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip hop, world-class wrecking crew. There would be no Eazy-E without Alonzo Williams. So that's how we're able to get these exclusive dope interviews that you're not going to hear anywhere else. So you got to go to NWA Stories with Alonzo. And the NWA in NWA Stories with Alonzo stands for Not Without Alonzo. Because NWA, all of the group members, would not be possible without Alonzo Williams. So if you want to hear some real West Coast hip-hop history stories, some great interviews, go over and subscribe, to NWA Stories with Alonzo. On the line, ladies and gentlemen, my dudes from Washington, D.C., I have Avenue Trey, and he brought with him the homie Phantom Loke, who's been on many times as well. And also we got Big Slim on the line. What up, fellas?
What it do? What's good with it, Dusty? What's going on?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain, man. All right, fellas. I was looking at some numbers, and I would love all of your opinions on this. And actually, let's go back. In 2019, I think, is when I first brought my dudes Avenue Trey and Phantom Loke on the show. It was just before the pandemic, and since then, man, DC has unfortunately, it's been wild. It's been going crazy. 2023 was DC's deadliest year in more than 2 decades. The homicides were up 36% in 2023. The nation's capital recorded more homicides in 2023 than in any year since 1997. 274 homicides to be exact, giving D.C. the fifth highest murder rate amongst the nation's biggest cities. Y'all are back in the top 5, man. Now, just to give you guys, put it in perspective, you've been coming on my show since 2019. There were 167 homicides in D.C. in 2019, and that was a big ass jump. Like, that was a huge year for you guys. So it's just good. It's gotten a lot worse out in D.C. Let's start with Avenue Trey, man. I kind of want to pick this story apart and talk a little bit and get deep into it. But you know, when you hear numbers like that, Trey, what are your first thoughts? And then we'll pass it to Phantom Loke and then to Big Slim. And take as long as you want, man. I'm good for like over an hour, so we're cool.
I got you, man. My thoughts on it, I'm going to be honest, bro. To me, it just feels like it's, another state of hate, from 166 to 274. I mean, it's got to be one of the things, man. It's either niggas really don't like each other at an all-time high, or it's really over that fentanyl, man. Drug game is big, my niggas. So, to think about it, it ain't about niggas ain't won over no weed. You can believe that.
Right.
Weed don't make you do that. Not on this level. It's got to be, I can't put my finger on it, but it might be something deeper than this, man.
That's a good point. Before we get Phantom Loke and Big Slim's response, with the rate of 40 homicides per 100,000 residents, D.C. was deadlier than 55 of the country's 60 most populous cities, behind only New Orleans, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Memphis. Talk to me, Phantom Loke, then we'll pass it to Big Slim.
My understanding, for real, just from observing, is really just these dudes really trying to get a rep. They're just trying to get a rep for their block, trying to get a rep for themselves. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand the weaponry that's out here now is really more advanced. Every year they come out with something new and different, something more deadly. And we had this discussion before. The streets are always going to get it one way or another. So since it's out here now and all that, that's what's raising the murder rate high as well. But the main thing is that these dudes just trying to get a reputation, and they're just hungry for it, and they'll do anything to get that.
What do you think, Big Slim? Welcome to the show, by the way, my man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, man, how I look at it is basically from my perspective is this. At this time in history, everything is progressively getting worse. You feel what I'm saying? Because things are just escalating. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody talking about really peace and positivity like that. It's more so being wars and pandemics, and it's all about, you know what I'm saying? Really like different diseases, and it's like people are going through like plagues and things. In other words, it's like it's getting worse. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just a sign of the times. Like basically, like, you know what I'm saying, things are just getting progressively worse because it has to go. It has to come to it has to get to a point to where people can't take it no more. You feel what I'm saying? To where people start outraging about it. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's the only way it's gonna ever like be really, televised, or it's gonna be, it's gonna be made important to the people to where they're like, okay, it's more and more stuff going on. We need to start paying attention to this more, you know what I'm saying, see what's going on, start watching the signs and seeing what's going on around the world, because a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, is getting progressively worse, or should I say it's a lot of things are becoming more frequent than they usually would be, in past years. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that could be attributed, to the Bible, you know what I'm saying? And when it talks about, like, the time that we in, in Revelations and what's going on, and, scripturally, you know what I'm saying? But that's my opinion.
let's rattle off some more statistics, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. Obviously, the 80s and 90s were a different animal. The last time DC was considered, quote, the murder capital of the country was in 1991. DC was known as the nation's murder capital, experiencing 482 homicides in 1981. Obviously, the elevated crime levels were due to the introduction of crack cocaine and things like that. Hopefully we don't go back in that direction, dog. 270 up from 167 in 2019 to 274, whatever I said earlier. That's a crazy jump just within 5 years. So we're headed backwards, man. Talk to me, gentlemen. We'll start with Trey. How can we turn this thing around?
Well, I would say the first main thing is we got to stop, as a whole, as a culture, we just got to stop, putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong things, man. Like, a lot of this really has to deal with, in regards to internal power struggles, to relationships, and just materialistic possessions that we want so much. We put a lot of emphasis on the wrong things instead of feeding your soul, spiritual salvation. So once you have that demon that you wrestle with, bro, you wrestle with principalities on a daily instead of, understanding that it's easier to take a chance to breathe and actually, appreciate what life really is, not for what we have been molded to think what it is,
MC Ren, right there. He's on the picture as well. Talk to me about MC Ren.
Well, I think about Ren. I've been knowing Ren since he was like, when I met Easy the same way. Ren would come over to Mixmaster State House when we was doing the Soundmaster Free thing. And Ren used to get on the microphone. He said, "Oh, yeah, it's the Mixmaster Ren." So Ren was influenced by the original Compton rappers like Mixmaster Ken. Them guys was influenced. Easy was influenced by Tidy T and Mixmaster Ken and Mixmaster Spade. They love Spade. Ren, that's all I can say about Ren. But when Ren turned Muslim, he was always in the background anyway. Ren was never one of them dudes all out there on Front Street.
Okay.
But he was the business, but he wasn't with that business. He wasn't with all that funny business. He let Easy take care of the business.
Gotcha.
He didn't really want to rap. Easy made him rap because he wanted his friend to be with him. That's what I thought.
Ice Cube did that shit. Ice Cube and because Ice Cube was the one that influenced Easy. And then Ren, he was basically in the background, like you said. But you hear listen to No Vaseline. It tell you everything right there. I mean, exactly. It's not talking about. I mean, not the content of the song. The content of the song is tight. He put that shit tight, but he actually broke down little shit in that motherfucking song to where if you knew, it touched the nerve. And when they did the damn, when they did the movie to me is not correct.
Okay. Talk to me.
Especially the way Easy died. But the twist is, listen to that No Vaseline song. And they start telling you exactly how the shit went. A lot of shit is accurate, but a lot of shit ain't accurate because it was a Ice Cube and a Dr. Dre movie. If Easy would have been around, how the hell you gonna make a NWA movie and not have the front cover on there?
Yeah. Well, I like that whole movie. I like the movie exactly how they did it. If it wasn't for that, everybody wouldn't be telling their stories now. Once I got the wind of it that they needed some product for the Straight Outta Compton, I immediately stepped my game up and started working on really night and day on this film because I knew I couldn't get none of the interviews I wanted or none of the stuff I needed once the movie came out because everybody was going to be looking for a budget. Everybody wants some money. Anybody doing nothing for free. So I got all of my early interviews before the movie came out. A lot of people didn't even know it was coming out. So that makes me smart, to do that, to get all these guys, Ice-T and Curtis Blow and Lonzo and all these guys before the movie came out. But to make a long story short, that movie to me is going to go down in history.
Yeah.
That movie to me is a springboard for every. If you don't like the damn movie, do your own story. Put yourself in the spot where you fit in. Get in where you fit in the movie. That movie was only smashed up into 20-something years of their careers without Easy. You know what I'm saying? Without Easy and other people's influence, smashed up into a 2-hour film. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It was cool.
So you think, Scotty, you think that, just say, I ain't gonna say anything about you not being here. Just say if you just went over to an island and didn't want to fuck with nobody no more. And I had to tell your story, or anybody else had to tell your story. It ain't gonna be the story that you actually was telling. That's the same thing with Easy. If Easy was here, everything, that whole movie would have been different, bro. If it was like, we give it like an NWA movie.
That's why I just said my opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion.
I know.
Just my opinion. It was a good film.
I love your opinion, man. I love your opinion because it's your opinion.
It's a great film. F. Gary Gray, I love it all.
As a
because
person,
they didn't have to do it.
As a person who was
did not have to do it.
See, I know you guys looked at it. Yeah.
Oh, man, they've been feuding for years. For them to get together, okay, forget it. Let's do it. And they did it. And it's done. And it can. Now let's finish up how the Western wants we can tell the real.
Now, let me ask you this. There is a theory out there, and one of the Bone Thugs members reignited the theory a few years ago. It went viral again, but every few years people talk about it. It's been a thing in hip hop about this secret meeting that allegedly happened in the early
Chicago.
90s. I don't know if it was Chicago, but let me tell you what I know, and then it'll probably spark something. But let's take yourself back to like 88, 89. It was we were having fun. We were house party generation. We were baggy, bright colors, black African medallions, red, black, and green, and things like that. It was it was a different time. And then almost overnight, we're dressing like gangsters, and we're bobbing our head to the Chronic album. Even the music changed. It went from a kid and play, doing funky dances and everybody dancing at a party to now you're bobbing at a party, and you're there to bang, or you're staring down people. It turned overnight. And there's this theory out there that there was this secret meeting between music executives and prison executives, to promote this certain lifestyle, to promote this certain music, to push it down everyone's throat. That way they can feed the prison industrial complex. Now, I would love to know, I don't know if you've heard that, you probably have, but what are your thoughts? Yeah, talk to me about your thoughts on that.
That's a very good theory. I'm just gonna say theory. I don't know if it's true or not. But if you look at what took place, you can't really go and say nah to it, because the incarceration rate shot up. We always want to go statistics saying how there's more blacks in prison than more black men are in prison than anyone. Statistically, is really not true. But young black men did get a lot of, I want to say, heat from a lot of things that took place. That transitional period you're talking about. Yeah, I grew up wearing khakis, Levi's 501s, Romeos, Crocodiles, Wallabies, Chucks. That was me when I was little. So when we had the medallion, black, red, black, and green, and all that transition into the khakis and house shoes and stuff like that. There was a significant amount of blacks finding themselves incarcerated. So I'm just saying that, and looking back at it, I can't go and shake my head no to that, because it just looked like it was done by design. The record company allowed records to come out talking about blasting on a fool, smoking a nigga. It became more accepted now to the point where the radio station is just like, yeah, we love this song called Kill a Nigga Fast, but yeah, for radio play, you're going to have to, we're going to say, Papa make a laugh. Yeah, something like that. So, you had the radio say, okay, so we're going to play this and everybody know the original, I go, but for radio and for the FCC, you can't have all that profane language on the air. So, I want to say, yeah, it did spark a lot of, it did intensify a lot of the killings that had died down, because in LA from about 83, 84 to 88, 89, the gang culture was wild. I mean, we was wild west, real bad over here.
Way worse than it is now. Things are bad now, but way worse than the 80s.
It was way worse. I can remember Tom Brokaw saying LA is the gang capital of the world. I can remember LA being on the list. I mean, they went and made the list of top the murder capital of the nation, and LA was up there for like 3-4 years straight because of the gang culture. So prison did find itself being heavily populated with a lot of those behind the trigger or supposed to be behind the trigger. Funeral homes that are multi-millionaires right now. That's when they made all their money from the 83 on up.
Yeah, facts.
It was like that was the thing to do, man. On a funeral home, you gonna be making paper.
Trip on this, dog. My mentor told me a story. He's about 15, 20 years. He's actually about 20 years older than I am. He told me a story about a fella that he knew, one of his really good friends, who owned a funeral home during the riots. And he said that when the riots happened, and then remember there was that brief gang truce, pretty much throughout the city, there was Crips and Bloods got together, and it was very brief. But yeah, he homeboy said, man, I'm about to go out of business if these niggas don't start killing each other again.
Man,
cold.
There was nothing happening. They were relying on old people to die, or somebody who was stricken with disease for the whole, I want to say 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks of actual treaty time, because I wind up going to a party and wind up I'm in there partying. Next thing I know, I'm DJing it.
Tell me about that, dog, because that's for anyone who doesn't know, that was a very pivotal moment in Los Angeles history. It was very brief, unfortunately, but when it started in Watts, when the Crips and Bloods united, right around the time, because we had Natasha Harlins, we had Rodney King, we had the riots, like we were just done with all the killing and all the bullshit. Not to mention homicides of upwards of 2,000 homicides in LA alone, and you're there DJing a party at a gang truce. Talk to me about that day.
Man. So we over in the 40 neighborhood, and I used to kick it over there a lot. So we go to the party, and it was crazy. They was charging $4 to get in. Party was on Vernon, right next door to Normandy Elementary. And we go in there, and homie, he really didn't charge us. He was a homie. It was the hood. So we up in there, and I can't remember who was DJing, but he was garbage. And somebody said, we need a DJ. There, DJ? There. I said, man, I'm here to party. Homie came out with $100. He said, come on, homie. So I get on the turntables, man. There was Avalons was up in there. There was the 40s that threw the party. But the Avalons was up in there. The Black P Stones from the Jungles was there. The 30s was there. Some Hoovers was there, man, and it was like I'm tripping out because I'm DJing and everybody in there is chill from different neighborhoods, and it was so crazy that I remember when we was leaving, I go outside and I see these fools fighting, but nobody stopping them. Come to find out, now these dudes is in 40 neighborhood. Dude was bleeding. He was on my car. I said, man, get off my car, homie. And they was like, my bad, homie, my bad. So they grabbed the dude. These are dudes that just beat him up. Come to find out, these dudes from Avalon just put this dude on Avalon in 40 neighborhood.
Mm.
And I'm scratching my head and I'm laughing. And the people I'm with, they're like, what's so funny? I said, y'all realize that this dude just got put on his hood in another hood. He from Avalon, but he got put on Avalon in 40. And they was like, huh? And we just all laughed and shook our head and took off, you know. But yeah, it was great. That was one of the Peace Treaty parties, and I went to another one. I did another one in Watts, and somebody just called me at the last minute, said, "Man, I need a DJ for the night." I said, "I got you." I shoot over there, and I'm hungry, so I go to a little burger spot across from the Nicholson, and I'm in all blue, back turn. All I heard was, "What's up, blood?" And I'm like, ooh.
Damn.
I looked down at my feet. And I turned around. I said, "What's up, homie?" They said, "Where you from, homie?" I said, "I'm from all over here." They said, "It's all good. You look like you Crip." I said, "I just wear blue." They said, "It's all good, blood. What you give me to eat? We got you." They brought my food for me, and I said, "Man, I'm deep in a party." And they said, I forgot what street it was on. I think it was on Success. They said, so and so. I said, I don't know. Over here on Success, this thing was. I said, yeah. Oh, blood, we be through there. We coming through there. Man, I went over there. The grapes, it was grapes and bounty hunters. Some of Compton was there. Man, the Monas, the Carvers, some Hoovers, man, some Anthony Parks was over there. Some of everything over there. The party I DJ, I didn't know it was a hood party. And he was like, okay, it's supposed to be till 2:00, man. 2:00. It looked like more people was there than when it started at 9. They said, "Homie, you can't leave." I said, "Huh?" No, I said, "Man, I need a 2:00 to come money. We go $2 more $100. How long?" I said, "Okay, we good to go." Kept it going. And I had to DJ that one by myself. My boy helped me take all my equipment over there. And I had to, naturally I'm gonna break him off. But yeah, we didn't leave that spot till like 4:30 in the morning. Man.
Damn.
And I was just like tripping because I'm like, the one's gonna come through here and shut it down. No, I wasn't no problems or nothing. So yeah, man, that was a great time, man. That was a great time.